Hello again, thanks for joining us. In today's video I tried to make my own cup of tea from plants in my garden. Now this is not a usual video for me, it is in fact the first time I have used a camera and my own footage in a video, so I hope you enjoy it. If you do, please like so I know, and perhaps I may make more in the future. To start off, of course, we must find a suitable plant. Now, after doing some research, I found the bush used to make tea is called Camellia sinensis. Now, I actually have a relative of this called Camellia japonica. Now, as you may have guessed, this is a Japanese version and not typically used to make tea, although from the sparse information I could find, it seemed like it would be possible. So, first thing, I needed to gather the leaves. Now, the leaves typically used are the new, fresh leaves in spring usually. Now these are smaller and supposedly would give off a better taste. However, it was the wrong time of year, I think, and there was no new leaves for me, so I just got the nicest, least blemished ones I could see, and I got 5. They were, as I said, a lot larger than you'd typically find, but I supposed it would do no problem. And here they are, ready for the drying process to start. Now, at this point, at the start, they were very flexible, sort of fresh, and would not snap at all. It's like most leaves. And here is the state of them 12 days later. This is why I videoed it, because the results were rather surprising. So, as you can see by my demonstration, 4 of these were very similar to how they started. However, 1 had drastically changed, so it was had a noticeable difference in colour, and it had also dried up and hardened and would definitely snap if I put excessive force into it. If anyone knows why this might be, please give your ideas in the comments, although the conditions were very similar, so I'm not sure what it could be. And here they are another 16 days later, that is 28 days overall. As you can see, none of the leaves are pliant anymore, they have all darkened, and even though one of them seemed to have a head start, they were quite similar at this point. So, as I said, I didn't have much to go off, no recipe really, but to me they seemed ready for the next stage of the process. And here is that next stage of the process, which was to steam the tea leaves. So as you can see here, I am placing the leaves into the steamer and really seeing what happens. I don't know any times on this, I'm just kind of going ahead and doing it. After I would say around 5 minutes, I thought they seemed a little more flexible, so I decided to take them out. Now to take these out, I actually have used chopsticks. Now I'm sure there's probably a better way, however I needed one hand to hold the camera and I thought it might be quite hot. So here I am taking them out with chopsticks. Oh look, the camera just steamed up. Hope that didn't bother you. Here is a closer look after that process, and you can see they are much more flexible, and although some of them don't look too much different, some of them have strange circles on. I'm not quite sure what that's about, but Well, he didn't kill me, so I don't think it was that bad. As I said earlier, I was kind of making up this process, kind of merging several different guides because I couldn't find anything too authoritative. So the next thing I decided to do was cook these in the oven. Schlink. Bonk. Now, I put these in here for quite a long time, I think probably over half an hour, and here is the result. They have gone back to being hard and brittle, as you can likely see, and some of them are rather dark. I then crushed them up. Because they were so hard, this was actually quite a spiky process, so I couldn't just rub them between my hands like I originally intended, and I just kind of pressed them down with my fingertips. And here is the final product. Now, it doesn't particularly look like the tea you might get, however, this is really a product of two things. One thing is that the much larger leaves, I obviously had to grind them up. However, I think most traditional teas actually use very small leaves and then twist them into a ball at some point. I think that would be just aesthetic. However, if you know any more, please feel free to tell me. Now, the moment you've likely been waiting for, the most important part of this video, which is where I will be brewing some tea. So why don't we get on with that? I do actually own a proper teapot, however, because this actually yielded a surprisingly low amount of processed tea, I actually opted for a 1 mug coffee filter, which ought to do the trick, since I don't think there's enough to make it for an entire pot. One strange thing I noticed while brewing it is that a lot of the leaves tended to float rather than sink like usual. However, I just attribute this to the freshness of the tea and probably shows how good quality it is, although originally it did deceive me that the water hadn't changed at first because I couldn't see it properly. But I assure you the tea did brew very well, as you will see. As you see here, it has made quite a pale yellow coloured tea. Now, I am no expert, but I think this probably means it's a green tea or something like that, rather than a black tea. Now, my opinion on this tea was that it was a very sweet tea, and I should definitely try to do this again because it was a rather tasty experience, although next time I definitely need to make more. However, I am not an expert in tea, so I did actually decide to send the leaves over to a friend who is quite a connoisseur of traditional tea. Here are a few images of the tea he brewed. So first, he brewed for around 2 or 3 minutes and seemed to create a similar tea to myself. He said the flavour was quite distinctive and sweet, which I also found. He said it was reminiscent of oolong as well, with a creamy and lightly milky flavour, which you can see it also shares an appearance with. But he also, as well as this, created another tea, which he over-stewed at high temperatures, which apparently, although I don't have pictures for this, created a rather different tea, which was quite robust and nutty. It apparently was very dark. Unfortunately, I don't have any pictures of this tea, but it shows that my tea is very versatile, and I can imagine that it will soon rock the tea industry and become a commonplace in many houses. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and if it inspired you to make any tea or anything similar, please tell me in the comments below.